Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. Everybody's here. We're talking football. We're talking the big bumper amount of games from last week. And we're talking games for this week. We've got news and everything that's going on in the football world at this point in time. While I've got you, and before we get started, if I can ask you to please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, that would be amazing. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Oh, balls, where is it?
Recording in progress.
That could not have been a better start. It ticks so many boxes.
I wonder if we should run like a little competition on what the listeners and viewers think was Stu's full sentence there.
No, but I tell you this much, I am going to cut out that first 1 second and I am going to paste it to the beginning of every football podcast from now on. Every single that is going to be I'm going to take away the theme tune and I'm just going to cut that onto the start of every single football podcast. It'll just start with balls, and then we'll just go straight into it. There'll be no
I think we've accidentally just found the new name for the football podcast. Balls. There we go. That's it. Hey, very good. Very good.
Speaking of intros,
well, I was just going to say, seems I've got my big fat mouth open already. I might as well continue on and welcome you all along to another weekly instalment of the football podcast. Welcome along, one and all. We'll give you a roundup of the past week's goings on in the round ball world. Maybe a little bit of FA Cup nonsense and whatnot. But we'll get to that later on, as it turned out to be quite the fruitful weekend for some of us.
so I just remembered something that somebody told me earlier today, and I was like, "Oh, that's football related. I wonder if we'll be covering that."
No.
Okay, just checking. Where do you want to start? Start as you mean to go on.
Well, might as well start with last week's games, haven't we?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to say that. I tell you something. I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot bitches. I not only updated the book in a timely manner, some of the games were updated live.
Ooh. What?
Yeah.
Turned into a football fan.
The first. No, I'm telling you lies. The first and the third games of the week were updated live. Just because I was like, interesting.
Well, not to foreshadow too much, but that first game was dedication because it didn't finish till about 11 o'clock.
And there is a reason for that, because I think one of you guys might have said something about that game, and I was like, I'll just check out what's going on. I was like, ooh, exciting. And then it got even more exciting. But that is foreshadowing. So let's get it covered, because the first game was the secret podcast derby. Manchester United versus the mighty Middlesbrough.
I can only presume, Andrew, that it's the secret podcast derby because for some reason in your Bristol home, the only games you could get access to were Manchester United games, yeah?
On the TV, it was just nothing but Man United. They had the Man United football channel in Bristol. That was all you could get.
Yes, it was the opening of opening of round 4 of the FA Cup, and the first game of the weekend schedule was indeed Man United versus Middlesbrough. I don't want to say a one-sided game, but going into half time, Middlesbrough were incredibly fortunate to only be 1-0 down. Let's put it that way. It was probably the most one-sided game I've seen in a long time, and yeah, Borough could have had no complaints if they were 4 or 5 down at the break, because they were absolutely shocking in the first half. They were that bad, and it was just more, for one of the better ways, it was poor finishing by Man United. That it wasn't more than one, rather than anything else. But yeah, Jadon Sancho opened the scoring for Manchester United. Then came the controversy. I'd almost forgotten that our boy Cristiano missed a penalty.
He did.
In the first half. I completely forgot about that. In the second half came the controversy. Borough played a nice little bit of play to sort of cut through the thirds. Got the ball out on the right hand side. Cross into the box where Duncan Watmore goes to control the ball. Balls it up and basically manages to deflect the ball back into his own path with his left hand. At which point, everyone watching the game was probably just like, "Well, that's handball." The referee plays on as VAR is in play, and Matt Crooks slams in the equaliser from about 18 centimetres off the goal line or something like that, and celebrates like he's literally just scored the winner in the World Cup final. Muted celebrations at best from the Borough supporters, because I'm pretty sure, like myself, everyone that was in earshot of the goal was like, well, that's getting chalked off because he's clearly handballed it. VAR review. Goal stands because it was accidental handball. Absolutely no idea how, but yeah.
Were they playing schoolyard rules? Remember, like we used to argue, you like, it's action, still a goal.
So when I used to play on a Monday, I say when I used to, I still do now, but there's a guy that we used to play with on a Monday who doesn't come down anymore. But he wasn't the quickest when it came to making challenges and things like that. So half the time the ball was gone and he'd just wipe a guy out and he's like, "Oh, sorry mate, I was a bit late with the challenge there. But it's not a free kick because I didn't mean to tackle you." It's like, Steve, that's not how that works. If you wipe someone out but didn't mean to, it's still a free kick. As of that. So it must be the principle because he didn't mean to. He can get away with handballing it. But massively controversial. I'm not gonna go out and like say that well deserved and stuff like that, because absolutely not. I mean, if I was a Man United fan, I'd be absolutely raging that it wasn't chalked off. But them's the breaks and stuff like that. United had another chance. Well, they had numerous chances to win the game. Bruno Fernandes was clean through at one point after a mistake by the goalkeeper and managed to hit the post from pretty much an open goal. And then the game went into extra time, and for the next half an hour there was basically nothing of note to write home about. So the game went to penalties. That's where it got interesting again. Middlesbrough dispatched 8 of some of the best penalties I've seen in a while. The last 2 especially were pretty much in the roof of the net. And then Anthony Elanga stepped up for Man United and blazed over the bar to send nearly 10,000 TTT-siders into absolute raptures.
If only there was a way to make the situation worse. Put your hands up if you predicted a draw for this game. Keep your hands up if you predicted a 1-1 draw for this game. And keep your hands up if you predicted that this game would not only go 1-1, would go to penalties as well. Now then.
I mean, I was helped out by that one in the fact that it was a one and done game, so there was no replay. So I knew that if it was a draw, the chances are it was going to go to penalty.
Now then, this is a very crucial thing because I need to put this out to the other gentleman on the podcast, where I put it out as: does Mr. Williams get the extra point?
Who did he predict would win on penalties?
Technically, the game finished 1-1.
No.
Technically, the game finished 1-1. So that's a 2 point.
If you would have stopped at that, then it would have been fine. But you went, it'll go to penalties and Man United will win.
Yeah, but it's the same way. Like, if you'd have put a bet on for the game to be 1-1 after 90 minutes, Mr. William Hill would be paying you out, my friend.
I'd see Matthew Moore, Andy Cook, and Stuart Woodmansey, not William Hill or Ladrow or.
Where do you stand on it, Andy? You know, as the man with the book.
So here's where I stand on this one.
Just throws the book on the floor.
I'm not.
Rubbish.
Well, all will become more and more clear as the podcast goes on for where I stand on this. I have given a point, but my question is: am I taking it away or am I leaving it? Because
1 point or 2.
So I've given 2 points for the score and an additional point.
Oh no!
You say that. You're saying that.
Just 2 points.
So let's leave it as it is for now and review at the end, shall we?
Oh God! But no, like, seriously, it should just be 2 points because I got the result correct.
Let's review at the end, shall we?
Oh.
Speaking of reviewing it at the end, we move swiftly to Hull City versus PNE, Preston North End. Now then, Stu?
Yep.
Go on.
Very, very, very short and sweet. Hull lost 1-0 to Preston. Cameron Archer hit the post in the first half and then scored in the second. So he got nearer, and yeah, it went on, finished. Nothing really much happened apart from Hull were crap. So yeah, there you go.
You say it's short and sweet. I'm going to make it even shorter and a little less sweet because everybody had Hull to win this game. Nobody predicted the Preston goal scorer. So it's 0 points across the board. Speaking of 0 points, Nottingham Forest went up against Leicester City in a 0-0 banger, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I predicted 4-1, so
You
I
did?
get 2 points.
2 points for you, sir. Oh, wait.
Yeah. No, I predicted 4-1. That was right. Done and dusted. No. So in a surprising twist, Forest dominated would be the kind of thing, and it wasn't even close. Kind of even the match kind of thing. You see, sometimes you see a 4-1, then you think, oh, that perhaps didn't reflect the match. It was 4-1 winners, and I mean Leicester didn't look like the team that had won the cup the previous year. They didn't look like the decent team that they've looked at in the thing. I think that they put out a slightly weaker team, but I think Forest played really, really well. It was kind of decent passing, decent movement. Kind of their goal was just bizarre. Bryce had an absolute rush of blood to the head and was God knows where he was at the time. But yeah, Zinkernagel got the first one, got it all rolling. Brennan Johnson got a second. Joe Worrell kind of got the third before half time, and Jed Spence kind of finished it off just after half time. Kind of other key parts of it would be the Joe Worrell header whilst on the ground that also somehow went out for a Forest throw-in, which was just kind of summed it up really. It was weird because I I watched it and I was never nervous. But then I was weirdly not excited at the end of it either. Kind of at the end of the Arsenal game, I was like, that was quite good, that. Whereas this one, I was a bit like, it won 4-1, that's alright. And kind of was like, nice, kind of thing. But I think it's that kind of thing now. I'm kind of like, it's decent to have a cup run, but at what point you kind of go, I just need to kind of just knock this on the head now because it's more important things to be getting on with.
So, Paul, you predicted Leicester.
2 points for me.
2 points for you, Matt. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can go back in time and change which team you predicted that for. Paul, you correctly predicted the Leicester City goal scorer. Congratulations to you. That's 1 point. Stuart, you had Leicester to win. But you did pick Spence to score for Nottingham Forest. 1 point for you, sir.
I got told off for that choice last week, and now who's got the point?
You'll never find me telling you off, Stu, for picking the correct one of the correct scorers. Matt did his absolute best to dodge, duck, and weave round any points. Picked Leicester to win, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically 4 goal scorers picked. Not a 1. I picked Forest to win. I also picked Zinkernagel and Johnson to score, so I'll just have the 3 points for that one. I have got booked in for my Nottingham Forest tattoo. It's going to be any day now, because so that's the first half of the week done. Now then, let's just have a little tot up, because according to these gentlemen here, it's nothing to do with me. I'm removing myself from this. Paul now only has 3 points. Stu has 1 point. Matt is yet to get out of the gate. And I've got 3 points. Interesting. It can all change. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's work on the principle that can all change. 3 games. Those 3 games look a little something like Derby County versus Hull. Stu?
Yep. All excited. It was on TV.
On the telly.
Might as well have just to take the hammer to it, to be fair. It was awful. City played pretty well for the first 6.5 to 7 minutes and then just decided to go home. Derby ran out 3-1 winners, and I say 3-1, Hull didn't even score the goal. So the goal scorers for Derby were Craig Forsyth, Tom Lawrence and Festi Ebosele, who, to be fair, dominated the entire game, ran out of steam and got subbed off 15-20 minutes before the end and still got man of the match. The goal for Hull was looking like a KLP goal until they then wound the tape back and it was a Craig Forsyth own goal. So that I got all excited when it was Keane Lewis Potter, and then then not so much.
Well, as we like to do on the podcast, we like symmetry. So whereas Matt finished the first half of the week, no points, walks through this game as the only person to get points. Picked Lawrence for a goal. Paul, your 0-0 ain't going to get you much there, I'm afraid. Stuart and Matt with 1-1s ain't going to get much, but as I said, Matt did get Lawrence. Some of us had Hull down for a heavy win. Guess what? I did not pick the Hull goal scorer because he doesn't play for Hull, so you know. We need to discuss the own goal rules later in the podcast. Because that could be a game changer. Who knows? Blackburn Rovers took on Nottingham Forest. How did they do in this game, Matt?
They ran out 2-0 winners, surprisingly.
You say surprising. Was it that much of a surprise to some people?
Yeah, I didn't. Well, because I was travelling down to York last night. I didn't think I'd see much of this, but I managed to see the first half. And James Garner with a really nice finish for the first one, and then Brennan Johnson with a penalty for the second. I think it was a bit of a kind of good competitive match. But yeah, Forest ran out winners, and Tony Mowbray had a bit of a whinge about it, so it's all good.
Perfect. Paul, you had Blackburn down to win. Nothing there, I'm afraid. Stu, Forest to win. I like it. Unfortunately, though, that's where the points end for you. Just a 1 point. Matt, you had Blackburn down to win. You did not get the goal scorers, so. But for some of us, Forest winning 2-0 is not that surprising, especially when you predict it. So that's 2 points. Obviously, when you put Johnson down to score, that's another point as well. 3 points for me. It can all change, though. Can all change. Queen's Park Rangers, QPR to their friends, went up against Middlesbrough. Paul, what did this outing look like?
Well, you said that things can change, but unfortunately for the viewing public, they might have to change after a very short break, I think.
Yeah, probably. It's the suspense. I see what you've done there. You're trying to build the suspense.
It's been known to happen, yeah.
Well, we'll be right back any minute now.
Recording in progress.
In theory, we should be back. Back in black. So, where we left you, suspensefully, we were about to find out how QPR did against Middlesbrough.
We were indeed, Andrew, and very entertaining game this, actually. It finished 2-2. Opening goal scored by QPR was by Elias Chair, and was a cracking finish. Just bent it right around the goalkeeper. No arguments there. The equaliser coming on 45 plus 2 minutes. A very, very rare Dale Fry goal. Only his second for the club, in fact. That's how rare it was. I missed the second QPR goal as I was out of the room when it occurred, and walked back into what I thought was the players coming out for the start of the second half. And it turned out to be the QPR players celebrating, because it was from the 46th minute by Chris Willock, after a bit of a goalkeeping howler, by the sounds of it, from Joe Lumley. But on the hour mark, ex-Borough player Uncle Albert Adoma decided that he still got a bit of a soft spot for Borough, because he decided to put through his own net to equalise, bring it back to 2-2, and that's how the game finished.
So, as I alluded to earlier, if there's an own goal situation, if somebody predicted that goal scorer, do they get the points?
No. If anything, it should be a minus point.
Are we sure? Just. Oh, okay. Sorry, Stu. I mean, it's not like
the wrong net.
It's
not a minus point.
It's not like the person in question is saying this because he correctly predicted a 2-2 and is trying to do other people out of points to bring back his missing point from the first game.
No, like it was the only reason I said it was mainly just because it's like, it's just funny, isn't it? If you're predicting a cat to score, and he does, but unfortunately it's in the wrong fucking net, it's not an ideal situation for anyone involved.
But was the point where because I was sort of following the scores as it was happening, and just for some reason in my head I just had like the Steptoe and Son theme tune, like the Uncle Albert in my head as soon as I knew that he'd scored, and then when it was on goal it just made it worse.
Go on then, Andy, break it down for us.
So, Paul, you did correctly predict 2-2, but in doing that, you didn't get any of the goal scorers, which is strange. Stu and Matt both predicted Willock. Now, this was a little bit of a problem for me because my dyslexia wrote something down, and then when I checked the scores, I was like, is this the same player or is this a different player? I need to check. So I checked and I couldn't find a player who plays for QPR the way I spelt it. So I had to do some quick maths and work out that the person that you guys were predicting was the person who was scoring all them goals. So points for both of you there. And to finish the week off nicely, I predicted Middlesbrough to win. And I didn't get either of the goal scorers. 0 points. At this point in time, I couldn't tell you who's won the week because I've had to change the scores 3 times. Matt, I think you got 2 points for the week as a whole.
I know I haven't won. I didn't win on the pod, but I won in football in life this week, so I'll take that with me.
Stu, you either got 3 or 4 points. Can't work out which. I think it might be 3. Paul, you nearly drew with me, but you did yourself out of a point. So you got 5. And winning the week with 6 is me. It makes me chuckle. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Well done, Andy.
What would you like to talk about? What would you like to talk about now?
Well, obviously we'll have a little change up, and we'll do the week in football. It's been a bit of a strange week, really.
Oh, has it?
There's been kind of all sorts going on with players, doing inappropriate things to, household pets.
I mean, you cannot set that up like that. That sounded terrible. It was pretty bad, but it wasn't that, is what I'm getting at.
I didn't say what... me saying inappropriate things does not indicate a particular thing.
No, but it alludes to.
It does very much allude to.
Well, I suppose.
Don't pussyfoot around. Just get involved.
Oh, lovely. That's up there with someone saying West Ham are in the top 4. Don't ask me how.
Let's not get into this because we could get in big trouble.
But yeah, unfortunately, West Ham player Kurt Zuma was caught up in a bit of a scandal in that someone released video footage of him throwing his cat around and, for want of a better phrase, giving his cat a bit of a shoeing. And I think at first West Ham had come out and said that he was being disciplined by the club and he wasn't being considered for selection, I think. And then about 2 hours later he was in the starting lineup for their game that evening. And it was widely condemned by most people. And then it's taken a further twist today when, as he was pulling out of training, his teammate Mikhail Antonio was asked the question, do you have any comment to make on the situation? To which he said, rather than you asking me a question, I've got a question for you. Is what he did, I'm not condoning what he's, this is like not word for word, but he said something along the lines of, I'm not condoning what he's done, but you've had players who've been found guilty of racism on the pitch, and then they've not been given any game bans or anything like that. They've been eligible to play the next game, and he's saying that what he did was worse than racism, and he's not wrong. He's got a perfectly valid point. It's two completely different scenarios, but they both should come with punishments of.
But it is that, isn't it? It's apples and oranges. But the short version is neither of them should go unpunished. Both of them should be punished. It's not saying because one group of people aren't being punished that makes the other group okay. It's both groups should be punished.
I think
the West Ham response though was straight out of the Wraith Rovers playbook from the other week, wasn't it? David Moyes was picking the best team available to him. That was his excuse. Right, okay. You knew what was coming. You still shouldn't have done it. No. They still went ahead and did it, and it took. Was it? They tried to sweep it under the carpet, didn't they, by saying they were dealing with it internally, like you said, and then it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed from there. Like, didn't it end up that he had the RSPCA went to his house to take the animals off him?
Yeah. So the RSPCA have taken the cats away from him, but it keeps getting new layers added to it because apparently there's like a law in France because he is French, and there's a law in France that says that if you're found guilty of domestic abuse towards pets, it can come with jail time or something like that. That's been all over Twitter and stuff like that. And apparently it counts if you're not even in France. So, I mean, I'm saying all this, I could be the victim of an elaborate hoax or something like that, but it seems to have been reported by enough sources that it would indicate that it could be true.
If you're the victim of the hoax, then so is Sky Sports, because I'd seen them reading it out on there yesterday. Right, okay.
And saying that there are a lot of layers to it. I'd heard some stuff this evening that there was more stuff was coming out ongoing. Not great.
On the flip side of that, so obviously where you've got one cat that's been abused, in a sort of an odd twist of fate, the Sheffield Wednesday Wigan game had to be stopped for a moment because a cat had run onto the pitch. So rather than kick the cat off the pitch, the closest Wigan player to the cat decided to basically try and corral it and then pick it up and take it off the pitch. It then came out after the game that apparently that cat had been missing for a number of weeks and was reunited with its owner. So
I didn't know that second part. That's quite sweet, really.
If I was him, I would have run completely in the opposite direction. I'd be like, footballers, cats, I'm not going anywhere near that cat right now.
My favourite bit of the video was the bit where the cat rolled onto its back and was having a play and stuff. I thought the guy was coming to play with him, and he's like, get off the pitch. I'm trying to play football here. Piss off. But yes, they were very kind to the cat. They eventually picked him up and gave him a little snuggle and took him away and stuff.
Just briefly going back to the FA Cup, obviously we didn't cover it in the predictions, but sadly Hartlepool United were not able to defeat Crystal Palace, so fell at the fourth round hurdle yet again. But by all accounts, they put up a decent showing. They didn't get blown out by any stretch of the imagination. They only lost 2-0. Had a couple of chances to score as well, but weren't able to, sadly. That'd have been nice for the travelling hordes of poolies if they'd have been able to celebrate a goal. But sadly, it was not to be. So that was just a a little wrap up from FA Cup week. Has anyone else got anything else?
Who did you get in the draw for the FA Cup?
Oh yeah, so Middlesbrough's reward for knocking out Man United was a home tie against Tottenham Hotspur.
Ah, yes. And Forest have got Huddersfield at home. 25th of February, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, so in a strange sort of move, they've decided. I think they've done this before actually. They've scheduled all of the 5th round games for midweek. So let me just find the draw details. So yeah, it was announced that the games are on. The games are all been selected, and technically they're all available to be viewed on TV in one way or another. So the games are played the week the 1st to the 7th of March. Starts off with Peterborough versus Manchester City on the Tuesday, and ends with Nottingham Forest versus Huddersfield on the following Monday. And all of the games are either on ITV or BBC in one way or another. So some of the games are under the red button, but it's just nice that fans of everyone who's still involved in the cup this season will now be able to see their team.
Yeah, rub it in. Well, whilst we're talking FA Cup, probably should little shout out to the team of Boreham Wood, being the only non-league team left in the competition. They've got Everton, I believe, in the next round.
Nice big spending Bournemouth.
Nice for the Boreham Wood chairman, because he's a big Chelsea fan apparently, so he gets to go and meet Frank Lampard, and having his team, for non-league side, knock out somebody who sat second in the Championship. Didn't hardly mention that at all. He was just he nearly cried when he realised he was going to be meeting Frank Lampard. So at least he'll have a nice day.
Indeed.
Other stuff though, speaking of cup things, obviously Senegal won the AFCON, didn't they?
Yeah.
On penalties over Egypt, and it was the battle of Mane versus Salah. So Liverpool players against each other, which, I mean, some people are into that kind of thing, but not for me. But Mane scored the winning penalty, but I think it was the 3rd time Senegal have been in the final, but the first time that they've ever won it, so that was quite nice. But my favourite part of it was the meme that came out afterwards of Mane with his arm round Salah at the end of the game, and it just said, "Can you put my bins out on Tuesday for me?" I enjoyed that.
Yeah, funny.
What else have we got? The Premier League and the EFL, in a bit of a more of a serious vein, are launching a review into increasing crowd trouble. Apparently, pyrotechnic incidents are up from 193 to 229. Missile throwing is up from 116 to 223, and hate crime in the stands from 146 to 206. And that's trouble across all divisions, up by a third since the 1920 season. Obviously, they have to do the stats from the 1920 season because, funnily enough, it was fairly quiet 2021. But yeah, a bit of a light-hearted end to that. But it's not good news, is it? Like, it does seem to be that people have been released back into the wild and have become slightly feral whilst they've been in lockdown.
It's kind of summed up with, I know it's a local derby, like with Forest and Leicester in the FA Cup, but the scenes from the Leicester fans arriving in Nottingham to just go and destroy the city centre, which you just think, for God's sake, we know what everyone's been through in the past 18 months, so you're just going to go and trash some pubs and restaurants that probably can't afford it, and then the dimwit who ran on the pitch when kind of thing. And the best thing about it is you see these fans, well, they shouldn't be celebrating in front of us, they don't want trouble. I'm like, how about you control yourself? It's a game of football. You're like, for God's sake, But thankfully he's banned for life, and good luck to him. So
you do question what goes through these idiots' heads at times, because
nothing. It's wind.
Well, yeah, basically. You can just hear the pee rattling around inside it. But it is just nonsense. that guy scored against my club. How can I react to this? Oh, I know. I'll just go and chin him. What? How is that a rational thought that goes through anyone's head? I just don't.
Also, on top of that, he punched Keenan Davis. The lad is massive and jacked. So, if you do manage to get the punch in and you're not tackled by Stuart, that guy's got a free pot shot at you. And he's probably going to knock your block off and you'll deserve it.
Ooh. Have you also seen the news this week, just changing gears again, that Mike Ashley still remains fully committed to buying Derby? Crack on, son. You crack on.
Well, they could go out of business because apparently it's going to take 12 weeks for it to go through. In the meantime, they might go out of business anyway. So this is the worry that a lot of the buyers have got, is that they'll buy a club that doesn't exist. Oh no! Yeah.
Anything else from
in the wider football family? Obviously, you hope that doesn't happen, but.
Does that mean that we could have them 3 goals chalked off from the other night then?
I think that's how it works, yeah.
Well, but you say this, if they can't fulfil the fixtures, all the results will be expunged from the league. So not ideal.
Anything else from a news perspective? Then I imagine we've got some games to predict. And it's another one of those strange weeks where we've got 3 games to predict and a bonus. Who's going to get the bonus this week? Find out shortly. But first, a game for each team. We're starting with Hull City. They're taking on Fulham. Fulham. So, the way it works is if it's your team, you pick last. And that way you can take little tidbits from other people's predictions, put it into yours and come up with the definitive prediction. The finest of predictions. Stu, you will go last. I have already put mine in the book because I know what's going to go down. So, Matt.
Apologies to our friend in Hull, but I've gone for 4-1 to Fulham. The managerial change does not seem to have worked, would be the analysis on that one. So I've gone Lewis Potter to score for Hull. Mitro to just pad his stats with another couple.
Who was that, sorry?
Wilson. Mitrovic with 2. Wilson with the 3rd. And Cabano, because, for the 4th.
Now I know what you're all going to say. You're going to say, Andy, you're crazy. What are you thinking? I've got a weird feeling about this game. So I've gone Hull 1-0. KLP banging one in the back of the net.
At this point, if you're listening to or watching the podcast and you actually know Andy on a personal level, can somebody just pop round and check on him, please?
He's does it not bother you a little bit, Andy, that you're going to be out of this game after about 90 seconds or something like that?
I mean, yeah, it's that thing. I like to keep my my streak of not winning every week.
Oh no, it's like that, is it?
That's right. I do seem to win a lot, don't
I? Oh, you little slug.
So, Paul, tell us how Hull's going to win this game.
Well, I'm not as optimistic as you. I'm also not as optimistic as Matt, as I believe this could be a bit of a hiding. I will go for Hull 0, Fulham 5.
Wow.
They're just on one, this team. They just don't seem to be They seem to have they seem to be angry at the fact that they've had to be subjected to another year in the Championship. I believe Mitrovic will get a hat-trick. They've got a striker that was linked to Middlesbrough called Munoz. Or Munoz. I always forget what his name is. But I think he'll score. And put me down for Decordova Reed.
Other wallpaper brands are available.
Hey! Come on, Stu.
Well, I weirdly have probably gone for the result that's bang in the middle of Matt's and Paul's prediction in the respect of I have gone for Hull 0, Fulham 4. I have also got Mitrovic to score twice. I have also got Cavallo to score 1, so very similar to Matt. But what Matt has forgotten clearly is that the midfield maestro himself, the good old tough tackling Tom Kearney, plays for Fulham. So stick me down for a Tom Kearney fluke of a ping pong free kick that's deflected off 16 players.
Well, there we go. 3 points for me, apparently. Middlesbrough versus Derby. Speaking of Derby, they're here again, going up against Middlesbrough. Paul, you will go last. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go first. Middlesbrough 2. Derby 1. I've got weird feelings about these games this week. Just weird. Sporra and Crooks getting 2 goals in the Borough, and Lawrence scoring for Derby. There you go, Matt. There's your prediction sorted.
Yeah.
Would you like me to write the same down?
Just ditto.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Lovely stuff.
Could go with hot hand.
Lovely stuff. Stu.
Weirdly, I have also got on my piece of paper Middlesbrough 2, Derby 1.
Oh.
But my goal scorers are Balogun and Jones for Forest. For Borough. And just because he has a fun name to say, I have gone for Plange.
That was a weird one. They've sold him to Crystal Palace and they've loaned him back, so he's not even...
Yeah, the £1 million man. He didn't look that great against Hull, to be fair, which is why I thought he's definitely going to shithouse his way to a goal against one of our teams.
Go on then, Paul.
This is a bit of a weird one because on a lot of the Borough forums there was a lot of rumours doing the rounds that Derby fans had been trying to buy tickets in the Borough end to be able to get to Gibson. So I think the club have put on extra security in the section of the stadium that Steve Gibson's going to be, and they're probably going to beef up like stuff on the gates and stuff like that. So there's a potential that this one could be a bit of a bad-tempered one. Obviously, the ongoing situation with Steve Gibson suing Derby and Mel Morris isn't helping the situation. So, yeah, could have a bit of needle to it. So I'll just go for a narrow 1-0 win for Borough.
I honestly thought you were going to be like, and to add insult to injury, Borough are going to absolutely smash the snot out of Derby. 5-0.
Don't get me wrong, if that happens, I'm not going to be disappointed. But yeah, 1-0, and I'll go for... Howson's looked good last couple of weeks. I'll go for Johnny Howson to score.
Lovely stuff. Nottingham Forest are going up against Stoke City. We know the deal now. Matt, you'll go last. Stu.
1-1.
One apiece. Interesting.
The Zinkernagel for Forest and Campbell for Stoke.
I'm a little more in the Forest camp, seeing as they basically won the week for me. So 2-0 Forest. Until they stop scoring goals, I'm not going to move away from Zinkernagel and Johnson. Paul.
I will go for 1-0 Johnson.
Matt.
I've gone 2-1 Forest with Davis and Yates to score for Forest, and Derby old boy Ince to shithousing himself to a goal.
He's gone to Reading.
Reading the book.
I'll stick with my original choice, Nick Powell.
Okay. So that's the week predicted. But a bonus footage, a bonus game. Who gets the bonus game this week? It's Stu's second favourite team, Hull City, going up against Sheffield United. So, Stu, you will pick last. Matt.
I have gone, apologies again to Stu, I've gone 2-1 to Sheffield United.
Okay.
Sharp and Brewster to score for the Blades. My main man, Honeyman, to get a little sneaky bonus goal.
I like what you've got there, but again, I'm going crazy this week. I'm going all out crazy. I'm going full crazy. 2-0 to Hull. And it's all the men. The long men. The honey men. Paul is officially choking right now on my amazing,
I enjoyed that.
On my
that was
amazing
good.
prediction. Paul.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in the camp of another bad one for Hull. Unfortunately, I'm going to go for just a 1-0, but I think they will lose, as Sheffield United seem to be on a bit of a tear at the minute. I will go for Billy Sharp to score.
Come on, Stu. Hull City 3-0. Go.
Sheffield United are on a tear, but they don't quite have the cheat code for the Championship that Fulham do. So I've gone with a 1-1 draw because, quite rightly, as a lot of you guys have already said, Billy Sharp is bound to score. Ex-Scunny got to, nailed on. But after a raft of new signings in the build-up to the deadline day, one of them has surely got to score in the next couple of games, and it ain't going to be in the Fulham game, let's be fair. So I have gone for, and I will apologise now, Andy, Syed Manesh. That is his full surname. It's not like Syed Manesh. But
I was just going to ask that. Is he one of these guys he just goes by his full name?
Well, I think they've already run out of letters in the club shop, and that's before they've stalled any of the replicas. So
is it one of the ones that's got an umlaut over the I as well?
No, I don't think it is.
I in it. It's like SAYAYAD.
It's double Y, SA double Y. That's like throwing it all out there.
I'm comforted to know that I had no chance of spelling that, and it's official. I was not even in the same time zone as that spelling.
It could be worse. We could have been doing this podcast about 13 years ago when Jan Venigorov Hesselink was playing up front for them.
Bless you. That is your 3 games with a Brucey bonus of a Hull City extra game. And that is the book closed. So, we've done things in a bit of a roundabout manner. We've done the news. We've done the reviews. We've done the previews. So, surely that means that there's only any other business.
Yes, and to finish on a light-hearted note for this particular week, I found something that BBC Sport had put on their Instagram feed earlier. It has been entitled "A Tough One for This Commentator," and it comes from a Hamilton Academicals game against Arbroath. The commentator's nightmare, in as much as Hamilton, and Hamilton start for Arbroath against Hamilton, whilst Hamilton also have a Hamilton in their starting lineup. So just to clarify, that's 4 separate players called Hamilton and 1 team called Hamilton.
Yeah, but Andy's pulling that face, but if we were predicting Scottish football, they'd be on to a winner because he'd only have to write 1 name in the book, and that's it.
Absolutely nailed on. Let's be honest. I kind of want to find that game and see if any of the Hamiltons scored. Let me have a look and see when it was played.
Well, you've got 4 chances.
That'd be amazing.
Talk amongst yourselves.
You've got 4 chances.
It'd be amazing if it was a 3-1 win and all 4 of them scored.
I think it'd be more amazing if none of them scored. What is the percentage that they make up of?
Right, so here we go.
They didn't score.
Arbroath 2, Hamilton Academical 2. Goal scorers for Arbroath: Nicky Lowe, not a Hamilton. Michael McKenna, not a Hamilton. For Hamilton Academical, Daniel O'Reilly, not a Hamilton. And Andrew Ryan, not a Hamilton. Unbelievable.
Well, Hamilton did score 2, but the team.
Yeah, that is true, actually.
This is.
No, for Arbroath, the Hamiltons in question were left back Colin Hamilton, central midfielder Chris Hamilton, and striker Jack Hamilton. Oh, even better, they had Gavin Swanky on the bench.
So technically, they almost have a jackhammer up front. Then that's got to be his name, surely.
Oh, big time. And then for Hamilton Academicals, they had right back Jamie Hamilton playing. No other Hamiltons on the bench, sadly. But yeah, just a little bit of light-heartedness to end your football fix for the week.
And we do like to end on a light-hearted note, especially when sometimes the football world can get a little bit murky, shall we say. I believe that is it. I believe that is the week done. We can look forward to games at the weekend and moving into next week, and we can look forward to next week's podcast where we'll definitely be talking about how I've won the week again. No, we'll be talking about cats on the pitch and punching horses. How about that? Surely that's a story that's going to come up at some point.
I didn't realise we'd done a Sunderland prediction in there.
Right, gentlemen, thank you. It's my job to thank you all for taking these lovely people through the sometimes murky world of the football world, and we will catch you next week. Thank you, bye. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another week of games gone. Another week of games to look forward to. Big thank you to everybody that joined me today talking football, and a big thank you to you for listening along or watching if you're getting us on YouTube. Wherever you are getting our podcast, please do consider subscribing. It means a lot to us. You can also check out our website, thecookiecast.com. Over there, we've got social media links, email links, all sorts going on. So do check it out and drop us a line. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.